It's funny how the human brain is it's hardwired for the color red.
Oh, absolutely.
It's biological, right? Longest wavelengths grabs your eye faster than anything. We see red, and the lizard brain just screams, fire, blood, stop.
It's the universal pay attention now signal. It
Yeah.
cuts through all the noise.
Exactly. But today we're taking that primal reaction and we're putting it in a context where paying attention isn't just about avoiding a traffic ticket. It's about preventing a catastrophic explosion. We're heading out to sea to look at this single piece of fabric that carries more legal and safety weight than almost anything else on a boat.
We are talking about the code flag Bravo.
The big red B. And I have to say, going through this project, The Sailing Flags by Keith Harper, I was really struck by how much complexity is hidden in what, just looks like a simple red flag. Harper isn't just listing definitions. He's building this massive structured resource from Alpha to Zulu. And his take on Bravo is surprisingly deep.
It's a perfect case study for the whole series, really, because Bravo sits right at that intersection of physics, international law, and, which I found most interesting, total confusion.
That's the hook for me. Because on one hand, you have this deadly serious commercial meaning.
Right.
And on the other, you've got yacht clubs using the exact same flag to tell people, hey, the B Fleet race is starting. Have fun.
And if you mix those two up,
you are in for a very, very bad day.
A very bad day.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to decode the message of the Bravo flag. We're going to geek out on the actual engineering of its shape because it's not just a rectangle. And we're going to untangle that mess between I am exploding and I am racing.
Which is a distinction you really, really want to get right before you pull up alongside a boat.
Seriously. Okay, let's start with the object itself. I think most people, even if they've never set foot on a boat, have seen this flag. It's solid red, but looking at Harper's notes, the shape is actually the critical identifier here. It's a swallowtail.
Right, and that's not just some, stylistic choice from the 18th century. There's a very practical reason for that cutout at the fly end.
It's about the silhouette, isn't it?
Completely.
Right.
I mean, imagine you're at sea, the conditions are garbage, it's gray, the sky is overcast, maybe there's fog or mist.
Yeah.
Color perception drops significantly in low light. If you just have a red rectangle and hangs limp or wraps around a stay, it could look like a company flag, a country's flag.
Or a towel. I've definitely seen towels drying on lifelines that look suspiciously like signals.
Exactly. But the swallowtail, that V-shape cut out of the trailing edge, it behaves differently in the wind. Aerodynamically, it tends to snap and flutter with a higher frequency.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't foul on itself as easily as a square flag does.
So it keeps the signal visible even when the wind is whipping around.
And more importantly, it creates a distinct negative space against the sky. Even if you're looking right into the sun and the flag is just a black silhouette.
You see that V.
You see that V. You know instantly it's not a national flag. It tells you this is a signal. This is a command.
It's engineering for eyeballs. I love that detail. And Harper gets pretty granular about the color, too. I was just expecting red, but the source material specifies vivid red.
Uniformity is safety. I mean, if every ship used a different shade maroon, rust, some kind of pinkish orange, it just increases the cognitive load on you, the observer.
You have to stop and think, wait, is that red? Or is that just faded brown?
Right. And in a crisis, you don't have time to debate color theory.
No.
Exactly. So they use standards. The hex code mentioned is hashtag A102E, which is often cited as ISO red, or very similar to the red in the American flag. It's designed to be highly saturated, so it pops against the two dominant colors out there, blue water and gray sky.
It's interesting that you mentioned contrast because Harper points out that no gradients or patterns are allowed.
No.
It has to be a solid block of color.
Because patterns just disappear at a distance. A gradient looks like a shadow. A solid block of high saturation red is the most reliable way to say danger across a mile of choppy water.
So we've got this high visibility, aerodynamically distinctive flag. Let's talk about the message. Under the International Code of Signals, the ICS, what is this flag actually screaming at me?
The official definition is, I am carrying, discharging, or transporting dangerous goods.
Which, when you think about it, is a massive category. Dangerous goods could be anything.
And it's intentionally broad. It covers Class 1 explosives, Class 3 flammable liquids like gasoline or crude oil, compressed gases, basically anything that creates a volatile environment.
So it's not a manifest. It doesn't tell me how I'm going to die, just that I should probably stay away.
Correct. The specific nature of the cargo doesn't really change your behavior as the approaching vessel. Whether it's dynamite or jet fuel, your reaction needs to be exactly the same.
And Harper outlines those reactions pretty clearly. It's not just don't crash into me.
No, it's about establishing a circle of safety. The first rule is obvious. Keep your distance. Give them a wide berth. But the second one is the one recreational sailors often forget.
Which one is that?
Watch your wake.
I hadn't really thought about that until I read this. You see a barge at a fuel dock, it's flying Bravo, you're in a power boat, maybe a wakeboarding boat, you're not going to hit them, but your wave is.
And that wave is a massive problem. If a barge is transferring fuel, there are these heavy hoses connecting the ship to the shore or to another vessel.
Okay.
Those hoses are under tension. If you roll that barge 15 degrees with your wake, you could snap a coupling.
Instant oil spill. Or worse, metal-on-metal friction.
Which brings us to the next rule: sparks. If you see Bravo, you extinguish everything. No smoking on deck. Turn off that little charcoal grill hanging off the stern.
Right.
Don't use open flame stoves. You're entering a zone where the air itself might actually be flammable.
It's sobering when you frame it that way. It turns a patch of open water into a regulated hazardous zone. And this isn't optional, is it? This is regulatory.
Absolutely. This comes from SOLAS Safety of Life at Sea conventions and local Coast Guard regulations. If you're a commercial vessel handling these goods and you don't fly Bravo, you are facing massive, massive liability.
Harper mentions this. It's not just good manners. If there's an accident and you weren't flying the flag, the legal fallout is total.
It's negligence per se. You failed to warn the surrounding traffic of a known hazard.
So that's the high seas reality. Tankers, barges, military ships loading ammo. That all makes sense. But here is where the Sailing Flags project gets really interesting to me. We move from the shipping channel to the race course.
The B fleet problem.
Yeah, because I've been to regattas, I have seen red flags flying from the committee boat, and nobody is putting out their cigarettes or slowing down.
No, in fact, they're usually speeding up.
They're speeding up.
This is the dual life of the letter B. In the International Code of Signals, it means danger. But in the alphabet of race management, it's just the second letter.
It's just big.
Right. If you have a regatta with 3 fleets, say J-24s, Catalinas, and lasers, you might label them Fleet A, Fleet B, and Fleet C.
Very creative naming.
Very. So to signal that Fleet B is starting its sequence, the race committee runs up the Bravo flag.
So in that very specific moment, the red swallowtail flag does not mean I am leaking gas. It means Fleet B, get ready to raid.
Exactly. It functions purely as a visual identifier.
I see.
It has stripped away all the safety meaning and replaced it with a logistical label.
That seems incredibly risky. You're taking the international symbol for explosion hazard and using it to say start the race. Harper's notes highlight that this causes real confusion.
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, imagine you're a cruiser. You're just sailing down the coast with your family. You see a cluster of boats and a main vessel flying a big red Bravo flag. Your training and your charts tell you, stay away, dangerous operation.
So you alter course, you swing wide, maybe you get all stressed out.
Meanwhile, the racers are swarming that boat because they know it's just the start line for the B fleet.
So how do we solve this? I mean, you can't have one flag mean 2 opposite things without someone eventually getting hurt.
The solution lies in the paperwork. The sailing instructions, or SIs,
The fine print.
the holy grail of race management. Harper is very clear on this, and it's a vital takeaway for anyone listening who races. The only way Bravo can mean Fleet B is if it is explicitly written down in the sailing instructions for that specific event.
So it's like a temporary overriding of the law.
Precisely. The sailing instructions act as the local law for the participants. If the CESE Code Flag Bravo signals the start for the cruising class, then within the boundaries of that race, that is what it means.
And here's the scenario I want to play out. What if it's not in the instructions?
And the hierarchy of rules defaults right back to the International Code.
Okay, so let's say I'm racing. I see the red flag. I haven't read the instructions, which, let's be honest, half the fleet hasn't read the instructions.
Sad but true.
I assume it's my start across the line. But actually, the committee boat had a fuel leak or was just refueling a support rib, and they were flying Bravo for safety.
And you just sailed right into a hazardous zone, potentially disqualifying yourself, or worse, causing an accident.
That is the nightmare scenario.
It is, and it happens. The race committee might be refueling a Markset boat. They hoist Bravo to say, keep clear, we are moving gasoline. A racer sees B and thinks, oh, that's my class flag, and sails right up to their transom.
So the takeaway from Harper is really read the sailing instructions.
Always. If you see a flag and you assume you know what it means based on habit, you're already wrong. You need to know if the definition has been altered for that event. If it hasn't, bravo means danger, period.
It really emphasizes how much context matters on the water. You can't just memorize the flashcards. You have to understand the situation.
That's so right. A delivery skipper like Harper sees this completely differently than a purely recreational day sailor.
Yeah, let's talk about Keith Harper for a second. The source material is his Sailing Flags project. He mentions he's a delivery crew member, done some serious miles Newport to the BVIs on 137-foot vessels.
Which is a serious run. That's offshore, blue water sailing.
So how does that background shape the way he presents this info? Because this does not feel like a textbook written by a desk jockey.
It's the difference between theory and practice. When you are a delivery skipper, you are constantly transitioning between these worlds. You're in a marina.
Commercial rules.
Right. Then you're offshore.
International rules.
Then maybe you pass through a regatta.
Racing rules apply. You have to be bilingual, essentially. You have to speak commercial and sport.
Exactly. And I think that's why his project uses AI the way it does. He's not just asking ChatGPT to write me a book. He's using these tools to synthesize the massive amount of regulation, call regs, international code, racing rules of sailing, and structure it into something a human can actually learn from.
It's using tech to make the complex simple, which is, ironic because the flag itself is the simplest technology imaginable.
It is.
I mean, we have AIS transponders that show every ship on a digital map. We have radar. We have VHF radio. Why do we still need a red piece of cloth?
Because technology fails. Batteries die. Electronics corrode in the salt air. Screens are unreadable in direct sunlight or heavy spray. But a red swallowtail flag, as long as there is light to see it, it works.
It's the ultimate backup system.
It's also universal. You don't need to speak English or French or Mandarin to understand Bravo. You don't need to be on the same radio channel. The shape and the color bypass language entirely.
That's a really cool point. It's almost like a hieroglyph that has survived into the digital age because it's just too efficient to replace.
Efficiency is the right word. In a life or death situation, and remember, preventing an explosion is life or death. You want the communication channel with the least amount of latency. Seeing red swallowtail and thinking danger is instant. Fiddling with a radio dial to find out why a ship is stopped takes time you might not have.
So let's bring this all back to port. If I'm a listener, and maybe I'm not a professional mariner, but I'm out on the water, what are the big takeaways?
First, respect the red. If you see a red swallowtail flag on a commercial vessel, a barge, or a fuel dock, treat it like a loaded weapon. Stay away, watch your wake, no sparks.
Check.
Second, if you are racing, never, ever assume. The Bravo flag is the most notorious double agent in sailing. It usually means danger, but it might mean Fleet B.
And the only way to know is?
Read the sailing instructions. And if you haven't read them,
assume it's danger.
Always default to safety.
I think that's solid advice for life, generally.
I would agree with that.
It is fascinating to think that in 2026, with all our autonomous shipping and satellite comms, we are still relying on a system developed hundreds of years ago. It's a testament to good design.
Good design lasts. And the swallowtail is a perfect example of form following function. It flies better, it looks distinct, and it keeps us safe.
Well, I am definitely never going to look at a B the same way again. It's not just a letter, it's a shield.
The red shield.
A red shield, I like that. Keith Harper's project is full of these little realizations, and we're going to keep digging through them.
There are 25 more letters to go.
Don't remind me. But for now, thanks for helping us decode Bravo.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, next time you see a flag snapping in the wind, take a second look. Check the shape, check the color. It might be saying a lot more than you think. Stay safe, watch your wake, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.